Welcome to the Ear for Fear podcast, the horror movie podcast that boils and ghouls and dead alike are screaming for. Don't be afraid to listen as Rick and the Creeps bore their way into your brains, slither down onto your arteries, into your still beating hearts.
Hi, welcome to the Ear for Fear podcast. This is the podcast that talks about scary movies or movies trying to be scary. I'm Rick, and joined by my cousin came on out again. He enjoyed it so much last time, he decided to come out again. We're talking 2020's Psycho Goreman. You recommended this one.
I don't know why. No, it's.
The thing is, I had heard about this. A lot of the people I follow on Instagram or whoever else, always talk about this movie, and I had watched the trailer before, but I had never seen it. And then I think when you and I were chatting about like what movies we could do, and you mentioned this one, I'm like, I kind of wanted to check this out. The trailer looked intriguing, and I was like, let's give it a shot. And then I watched the trailer again. I'm like, okay, this looks fun. And then I watched the movie, and and yeah, it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't.
It's fun. I wouldn't say it's a knockout of the park.
No, it's definitely not a knockout of the park for me.
I think if you leave expectations behind and you replace that with a beer or two,
Scott, I think you're absolutely correct. I think I should have done that going into this, because after watching the trailer, it really kind of got me excited. I'm like, okay, this is going to be like kind of right up my alley. It's going to be kind of cheesy and campy, and it is those things, but it fell flat for me. Mm-hmm. But before we kind of jump into it, two things. Let's do a quick synopsis, which we forgot to do on Videodrome, so everyone forgive us for that. Yeah. But this one basically is after unearthing a gem that controls an evil monster looking to destroy...
nameless evil.
A nameless evil? Yeah. Is it a nameless evil?
That's kind of what they refer to him as, right?
Nameless evil.
Yeah.
Looking to destroy the universe, a young girl and her brother use it for their personal benefit, basically, right? He's banished to Earth. Yeah.
And they uncover the amulet.
Yeah.
They're it's just palling around with the most destructive force in the universe.
Yeah.
Which is an awesome setup for a movie, I think. If
I will say the one thing I did really, really like is it took zero time to get to this thing.
Yeah.
Like it
had a little scroll in the beginning. It
basically
just tells you the backstory, on the Planet Gigax.
Yes, on the Planet Gigax.
Was there a voice, or was it just written?
Yeah, no, there was a voice.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a voice, and it kind of gave the spiel, and then it had, I guess we should do spoilers ahead of time.
1, 2, spoilers coming for you.
So yeah, it didn't take really long, to get into this thing, which I will say I love about certain horror movies. Like, just get to it, and then we'll figure everything else out. Where instead of you taking, now again, this movie I don't think really warranted that, like all this backstory. It's just, let's just get to the meats and guts of this thing. Some movies, like say Hereditary, has to build up for an hour and a half until
right.
This isn't that movie.
Oh no.
So
they're as far from each other on the spectrum as anything can be.
Oh, for sure.
As far as horror films go.
You and I, last time you came out, we did Videodrome, and we chatted a lot about depth and a lot of messaging and substance to the movie. This has none of that.
Are you saying Psycho Goreman doesn't have any depth?
Psycho Goreman. Hold on, I gotta throw this little effect already. Psycho Goreman. Dude, I just love that. That sounds cool. That just sounds cool. I had to do that really fast, just in case I forgot down the road to do that little effect. There's no substance to this thing. I'm
glad that is in front of you and not in front of me, because
you would hit
I would
it all
be
the
going
time.
nuts
Dude,
with different things. Yeah,
I want to hit all these different. Yeah. I'll have to hit it at least once or twice before we, But let's see. Let's run through this is directed by Steven Kostansky. Is it Kostansky? Kostansky. There it is. Kostansky. I think he directed The Void, which I haven't seen, which I gotta see.
That, yeah.
Everyone keeps telling me The Void is really good, and it's on my list, and I haven't done it. Because Steven Kostansky. I think that's correct.
Yeah,
Did you see The Void?
I saw The Void. Yeah, he's part of a collective of group of filmmakers. They're Canadian, I believe, and they're called Astron 6. So they kind of all do these. I guess they're lower budget, under $1 million, sometimes under $100,000 budgeted films, and then they see how far they can stretch the budget, and they're all kind of fun. Void is a bit more serious.
Would you say, because you and I before this we sort of recorded, we were talking about Turbo Kid. Would Turbo Kid fall under that category of the same directors, or is just kind of the same? I don't think
so. I think
kind of
Turbo
the same
Kid
feel.
It has that kind of the same. The feel of kind of throwback, kind of 80s, 90s films, with kids and using a lot of synthesizer music,
which I was going to mention. I love the music in this. Honestly, man, one of the most favorite things in this movie for me is the synth music. The music's phenomenal. The voice of Psycho.
The guitar work.
Oh, dude, it's awesome, man. Yeah. That's honestly I've seen movies where they have a voice like this kind of menacing evil voice, and it just falls flat.
Sure.
That wasn't the case in this.
No, I like the guy that plays Psycho Goreman. Yeah. I thought I like that costume. I like his look, and I like his like you said, his voice and his demeanor.
I love some of the lines. Like what was one of the lines? I'll bathe in your blood or something.
Yeah, he always has these lines that he's basically going to tell them that he's going to kill them, but then they just they don't care. They're just they don't give a shit at all.
Like the one, like when there's a scene where
we just mean two kids.
Yeah.
Like two, what are they like?
Oh God, I would say they're probably like maybe 10 to 13 or something.
Right.
Maybe
They're
something
not even teenagers yet.
Yeah. Mimi's the sister, and Luke's the brother. They're the ones that find the gem or the
in their backyard.
Playing
a game called Crazy Ball.
Is that what it's called? It was called Crazy Ball,
which has a lot to do with the plot because it's the whole end of the movie.
I know, dude. I'll be honest, man. So this was the thing. I was thinking about this. So the loser has to build a grave for the so the loser builds a grave for themselves and they get buried? Because I was trying to understand this. So Luke loses the game, and then he has to dig this big hole, and is the idea he has to? For the sake of the movie, it's whatever. But was that
the idea? That he has to be buried alive, and so the kids. That's kind of. That's the line in this movie where the kids and the characters take these jokes kind of up where some things would be up to, but maybe they go past where things are realistic. So that, he has to be buried alive. So he actually digs a hole and he goes in there, and her intent is literally to cover him almost all the way up with dirt. And that's sort of the humor in this movie, where it's I think for some people would go too far because they become less realistic, less characters, and just kind of cartoons.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I felt with most of the characters. Luke, not so much.
Right.
I was totally fine with him. Mimi, his sister,
she's sadistic.
I wanted to strangle her, dude.
She is a psychopath.
But I will say I'm okay with that part of it. It was just so over the top.
Sure, yeah.
And like you said, cartoonish. It just didn't feel. And again, maybe that was the intent.
I think
was that the intent? Because, dude, she annoyed me. I was actually watching this last night going, I don't know of any other movie I've ever watched other than maybe, say, Babadook, where the kid, annoyed me so much that I wanted...
Babadook's not a comedy.
It's not. It's not the same, but the kid in the Babadook annoyed me so much. And that's how she was. And she was worse for me. I don't remember any movie where one kid annoyed me more than she did. She was just annoying as hell, dude.
I could get that.
I'm okay with the cockiness. I'm okay with her being spunky and whatever. But it was so
eccentric.
Yeah, it was so over the top that I couldn't. It was cringing I cringed most of the time. It bothered me so much. I didn't mind. Luke was fine. He acted like your kind of normal teenage boy. The dad was okay. I didn't notice it at first, but as the movie went along, he was so lazy and just useless
and unrealistic.
Unrealistic.
Like the girl, he
Yes.
become caricatures. They're just like cartoon characters.
And those were the two characters I couldn't stand. I couldn't stand the dad. I couldn't stand the daughter. The mom, Susan, I didn't have an issue with her. I swore I've seen her in something else, but I
She
didn't.
looked like the girl. They had facial similarities
Did they?
I don't think they're related.
Probably
but,
not.
Like I could see that in the movie and think like, is that her real daughter? But I mean,
She looked like I've seen her in something else that I've watched recently, but I didn't look it up to see.
I can guarantee you none of the actors in this movie have ever been in anything else that you've ever seen.
And then, of course, we have Psycho. Hold on a second. Ready? Psycho Goreman. I have to do it. And then Pandora.
So there's a...
Okay, so what is this?
It's like Alliance of Planets. So they're the ones who. So so the backstory which they go into is that he was a slave on Gigax, and this group of aliens called the oh my Jesus, what are they called?
Was it like some sort of alien alliance or something generic like that?
Yeah,
or council?
Templars.
Was
yeah.
it okay?
So those are the chick that has like the wings. They're Templars, and they enslave the Gygaxians, and he's able to find this amulet, and he becomes all powerful.
Yeah.
And eventually, they're able to subdue him and banish him to Earth, and that's the planet. That's the Alliance of Planets. So it's this group of a table. It's this council. It's like the UN of planets, but they're all have
what
different
these look
crazy animals that look like they're out of Star Wars or like a B movie, like a Roger Corman film.
Yes,
or something.
I was going to say they're like rejected characters from Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are bad.
I think that's the intent. Which
no, I think you're right.
I think there's two things for this movie. It is micro budget for what movies like this go for these days. Yeah. It's a really small budget, and I think the intent is just. I think that's where the polarization comes in, because I know people who are apeshit over this movie, and I know people that are not really into it, and I'm kind of in the middle, and I understand it's the humor, and I think it's the intent that it loses people. It's like some of the effects are fun, but they look cheap at times. But I think that's
I'm okay
too goofy.
I'm okay with goofy or cheesy effects. I'm totally fine with that. I grew up in the 80s. I've seen plenty. It just was everything else that just lost me.
With the characters.
It was the best way I can describe it, and I think I mentioned this to you, was it felt like a super bad episode of Power Rangers. Just more on the horror level of Power Rangers. And that was, I mean, honestly, and I never really watched Power Rangers, but but Donovan watched it when he was younger. So, I mean, I had seen bits and pieces, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what it reminded me of, other than maybe some like karate or kung fu stuff happening. It just was, and again, I'm okay with campy and cheesy, and sometimes it really works for me. It fell flat for me. Like, dude, this movie drug for me. Like, I just wanted it to be over. And I think what was tedious for me was it was Mimi and Greg's characters. They bothered me so much, man.
Yeah, they just become so unrealistic because they basically don't care about anybody else. Yeah. They're sociopaths. They don't care about anybody else's well-beings or feelings. Like their best friend, Mimi, and
what was his name? Annister or something like that.
Alistair.
Alistair. Yeah.
He gets basically turned into Krang from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Just this like brain with eyes. Yeah.
But it's like they go about their business like
that's it.
Normal. Like,
yeah, and she does not care at all.
No, not at all.
Actually, she's got like a crush on him when he.
Yes, she does. She does have a crush on him.
You were saying about Power Rangers, so I know there's a disconnect there because you're older than I am, and I when Power Rangers came out was maybe right on the cusp of not getting it, but for some reason I watched it every Saturday, and I knew at that time I was like, this is corny as shit, but I could not watch that show.
I have talked with people that feel that way. Yeah,
and it's the first version of the Power Rangers, the first 5 that everybody remembers. But like anything after that, I never watched. But yeah, for some reason, I was so drawn to that show, and I knew it was stupid, but I don't, and I think that may be the allure of maybe that's the same reason. It's stupid, but it does remind me of kind of the early 90s of things, and everything in this movie reminds me of that same thing, of Power Rangers and cheesy over the top music. Which you said you like the music.
Oh, I love the music. Like
definitely Power Rangers inspired with the
for sure
guitar solo.
For sure, man. Like this felt like metal. We were trying to, like, before we hit record, we were trying to think, like, is this like a sci-fi horror? Or, I mean, we could call it almost like a metal horror. I mean, because there was some metal, not over the top metal, but there's definitely some 80s synth going on, which I'm a sucker for that.
And I think that kind of puts it in the same realm as a lot of those other kind of throwback nostalgia films. Not that they're using nostalgia in the film, but that they're kind of creating that genre that used to exist in the 80s and early 90s, where like you said, Turbo Kid. I love the idea of an apocalypse. Like Turbo Kid kind of delved into that, and there was a lot of like the Mad Maxes, the post-apocalyptic, like the world, everything's, I don't know if this would have worked better as that. I don't know. I may have been more, intrigued or maybe involved with it more. Like, I don't know. I maybe have liked it more if that was the case. Maybe if their humor didn't go so far, you may have been into it more
it's just
with the characters, and it just made it unrealistic. It was hard to I think to identify with. I think.
Well, I mean, it's like they find this, right, and then like immediately they're not okay. So I will say there was a couple of scenes that I really enjoyed, like when he comes out of the hole and he goes to like this industrial. I don't know what this was. It an old shoe plant or something. Like it was like they used to manufacture like shoes there. Was that what it was?
I think so.
Something. And so he goes there and there's like your typical like. There's three guys. It looks like they had just broken into someone's house and they had, I guess, killed the person. And they're there and they're looking through the stuff that they got. And Psycho Goreman comes in and then it's the cheesy. It is. I will say it's kind of cheesy lines that you would have heard from the 80s. Mm-hmm. And
cliche
then
type.
Yeah, very cliche, stuff, very kind of trope.
Yeah.
And then he rips like their heads off, and I think part of their spine. And I thought that was I was cool. Yeah. Like if it was more of that type of stuff, I think I would have been cool. But then it was like this like buddy relationship with the kids, and the kids are like dressing them up and they're doing like goofy stuff. And I just wasn't. It wasn't. I don't know. I just didn't like it. Like they're taking him through town and no one in town seems to care. Like he's literally wearing like sunglasses, but he still looks like an alien. And
right.
It's like,
that's the unrealistic nature of
and I think that was if you're going to play, I think that was my issue because there was a scene where they were playing, Mimi was explaining to them the rules of, what was it? Crazy Ball?
Crazy Ball.
And then the police officers roll on up and their reactions are so ridiculous and stupid and over the top. That's what I didn't understand. If you're taking them through town and you're trying to basically pass him off as a regular person, then why are the cops like doing this? So I think to me it's like pick your lane. Like are you trying to pass him off and people just don't realize he's an alien? Or is it that's the thing.
I guess they don't really specify what time period it is, but if somebody walked down the street this day and age, you would just think they were cosplaying.
Maybe
you
you're
wouldn't
right.
think somebody was an alien if they were big giant purple.
True.
Like
I think there might have been was there a line where someone across the street said something like nice costume? Maybe you're right. Maybe, I guess.
I think ultimately they're just not going for any sort of real, because there's no consequences for literally anyone in the movie.
No.
Like you said, the two cops show up and the one guy gets turned into like a zombie.
Some melted zombie thing.
And it becomes part of the crew.
Which was annoying, dude. Oh my God.
That's the one thing I did like about that.
Did you?
Yeah, I like that idea of that guy because he keeps wanting to die. And he's trying to kill himself. I
did like when he wrote Mimi it looked like a Valentine, and it was a heart that he had. that he had cut out and wrote like "kill me" or something like that, or something like that was kind of funny.
It's such a funny idea to just turn that guy, he's just a living embodiment of suffering. And then it just becomes part of their crew and they don't care.
No.
And I know that's not realistic. That's the crux of the movie. It's either you're on board with the just everything being a gag, or you need some sort of realism injected in there, or something anchoring the characters.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it was harder for me to, like, if I was to watch this movie. Let's say this movie was it came out 20 years ago or whatever. Maybe I would have had more fun with it, but more the 50-year-old cynical Rick, I guess. And I can, and there are times where I can remove all of that stuff and just take it for the surface value of what it is. I've done that with other movies. I could not, and I tried, man. I really wanted to like this movie. I really wanted to have fun with this movie, but there was just so many things, especially with Mimi and the dad, that I just couldn't get past. And then it became so Power Ranger-y that it's just like I'm okay. Even I like the look of some of these characters. I thought were really cool, you know. But then the execution when they're fighting was just so goofy. Like
it was.
It just.
I think those people could barely move in those costumes.
My guess is yeah. Like the one. What was the one? It looked like a big bucket with heads in it.
And that's my favorite one.
That's your favorite one?
Because, it's just a big bucket with
heads,
bodies in it. And he has what looks like guns. It's a bucket with feet and 2 arms. And it looks like there's guns, but it just spews blood. Yeah. And then the funny thing about that is that it runs out.
It runs. I will say that was pretty funny.
That's a good gag.
But what was... I did like the one where it looked... I don't know what it was, but I remember the head falling off, and then I think it spoke in a different language.
Oh yeah.
What was that?
It was like a witch type.
It was like a witch. That one was cool.
With this kid's face.
Yeah, dude, I loved that. I thought that was cool. But then there was one where it looked like some metal person, and it did not look metal at all. It looked like a horrible version of like the Tin Man from, say, like a bad Wizard of Oz movie. Like I don't even know what it was.
Yeah.
And then the other guy looked okay. The one that was wearing the crown, because I guess they rotate who like is in charge of whatever realm they're ruling. It was
because he's the leader of those guys.
But he was the leader right now because he said that they take turns.
No, I meant the Nameless Evil is the leader of those guys.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah, they're a group.
Okay.
And so he's been controlled by the little girl, and so he reaches out through the television and contacts them, and they come down, and he thinks they're going to kill the girl. But then now they're like, no, we're better off without you because it's a democracy, because we all take turns. We wear the crown.
A democracy of evil or something. Because what does Psycho call himself? The Archduke of Nightmares?
Yeah.
See, those are the things I do like. Like when you give yourself cool little nicknames or the lines, I'll bathe in your blood. I love that stuff. I just felt like there wasn't enough of that. But yeah, they come, they basically, so they come down and he thinks, oh, they're gonna help him out. Well, they're gonna kill him off. And so then there's this kind of goofy fight, and then he gets hurt and
yeah, you don't really care what's going on. You're just, I will say that when I first saw the movie, I saw the trailer, I bought it on Blu-ray immediately. Yeah.
So you did a blind buy on it?
Yes.
Oh, you did.
I do that a lot. I do that probably too much. Yeah.
I've only done that a few times, and it's always bit me in the ass.
Yeah.
So I don't do it anymore.
This one's a little risky because I only saw the trailer, and I was just like, fuck it. Like the cover. I mean, come on.
The cover is pretty cool. Man.
So, and I will say the first time I saw it, I had a little bit more fun watching it, but I also had things to drink. And the second time I didn't have anything to drink, and I usually don't drink when I'm watching something like Videodrome, something that has layers. I want to think, and I want to really get the different layers, especially if we're going to be talking about it. But yeah, something like that. I had way more fun watching it when I had a beer or a mixed drink.
Maybe I need to do that. And it's if I watch this again.
It's not like I'm not advocating for people to.
No, but there are a lot of movies. I've even said this before. I did an episode called Wild Zero. And this was the most bizarre movie I'd seen in a while. And it was like rockabilly meets zombies meets if you haven't seen it, I honestly would say, I think in the episode, because I did that episode by myself, and I even said I think you needed to drink. I think there was a drinking game actually for that movie that I had read about or I saw a video for, and I think I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more if I had been drinking a little bit. And again, we're not advocating that, but there are some movies out there that I think makes the movie better.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of puts it over the top for that,
Maybe that's what I should have done, man. I don't know, have an edible or a drink or something before I had watched this movie. Like I said, there's some stuff that I think, is cool about the movie. And I really did want to like the movie. I was like, all right, cool. this is going to be fun. And then it didn't take too long for it to become annoying for me. And I think that
wears out.
It did. It wore me out. Like Mimi's character, the sister or whatever, I could not. Within maybe 15 minutes of it, I was done with her.
Yeah, I could see that. It becomes the Mimi show.
It really did, and it was just so. And kids in movies in general or horror movies, they don't bother me. I've seen so many of them that I can just ignore it. It was so in my face and glaring with her, and it was so over the top that I just couldn't get past it. I wanted to look past it. I just couldn't, man. I tried. And so, yeah.
You know what? It reminds me of, there's a movie like Monster Squad.
Yeah.
Which is, I love Monster Squad.
Great movie, yeah.
And it's it's kids, but they're talking like kids talk. It's not, I love the Goonies, but, it's a PG movie or whatever. It kind of talk like kids do, but Monster Squad, they really talk like kids talk, because even when you're that age, you're pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable, what you can say with your friends and things like that.
Yeah.
And then also in that movie though, it's funny, the kids are funny, but it doesn't get detached from reality. Even though they're dealing with monsters, it's still, they act like real kids, and there's consequences for everything. Yeah. Whereas this one, it gets a little bit too far out there, push it a little bit too far with the kids and the characters. There's no consequences. It just becomes one series of gags, one big gag.
Yes, I think that's a perfect way to explain it. Yeah. Like it was one big gag after another, and
almost a satire. But then you're like, what is it? What is a satire of?
See, that's the thing.
Not
I'm
really.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm okay with the satire. Spinal Tap, for instance. I mean, it's the perfect satire.
Yeah.
That's a movie I watch. Every time I watch it, I'd like it even more, and I catch more stuff.
Right.
I just don't see that happening with this movie.
No, I get that.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with someone making fun of something or playing off of it. But what is it that you were? I don't know.
That's why I wouldn't call it a satire, because they're like paying homage to 90s stuff, but they're not really deconstructing anything, so it can't be a satire. It's just a gag. It's just a bunch of gags.
Well, yeah, that's true. Because you're not really making fun of it, right?
Yeah, right.
You're just you're paying homage, or you're borrowing from other movies. Obviously, the director, he was influenced by certain things. I don't know what those things. I definitely think Power Rangers, but there may be some other movies that influenced him. And there's nothing wrong with that. But
I do have a list if we want to get to.
Oh,
some of the things.
Is there?
Yeah.
There's a list.
Yeah, I have
curious.
a short list of things that I found online that he was inspired by.
Okay, I'm curious.
So the things that when I was watching it, definitely you said Power Rangers was a big thing.
Oh, for sure, for me, yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
See, I never really watched that, so I could see
the song at the very end of the movie is straight up a kind of. They basically listen to the Ninja Turtle song at the end, which is like a rap song, which is called Turtle Power. And they basically made the version of that just with the same beat and the same everything. So it's a direct callback to Ninja Turtles. So there's that. There's a movie called, I don't know if you've ever seen The Guyver or The Guyver 2.
No.
Science, fantasy, horror, action. They're based on a Japanese manga. So Mark Hamill's in the first one.
Oh, yeah, because I know he does a lot of voice work for. Is it?
It's a live action.
Oh, it's a live action.
Yeah, so they're based on a Japanese manga, but they're live action. I think they're American made.
Okay.
But they use costumes like Power Rangers, but it's before Power Rangers hit the States.
Oh.
So I used to watch them. The first one's not that good because it's not as fun. But the second one, it's basically a guy who finds an alien costume and he has to fight other aliens.
Oh, okay.
And he's in a costume and they do martial arts and stuff like that. And,
Hey, I love martial arts.
yeah,
so,
they're great. But that totally reminded me of this too. Guyver.
okay.
Yeah.
What was the? Do you have the list?
Yeah.
Bring up the list because I'm curious. Like if any of his influences, like I've seen any of the movies,
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I mean, definitely you could tell. Like, I mean, you could tell the movie is influenced by other stuff. I mean, absolutely, man.
Sure.
What's the list say?
One of the things which reminded me, because that group of his Astron 6, it did remind me of Roger Corman's production.
Yes.
Because everything was very small budget. They kind of turned out these
Oh,
things
yeah.
as quick as possible.
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe they try to maybe make the quality a little better. They're a little bit more invested in these films rather than just turning a profit. Artistically, but one of them is a Roger Corman film.
Which one?
It's a Galaxy of Terror, which I've
Oh
never
yeah,
seen.
I have heard of it. I don't know if I've seen Galaxy of Terror.
Okay.
I would guess that Morris has seen that. But yeah, what else?
Class of 1999, which I have not seen either.
I think I remember that movie. That was kind of your Nukem High type stuff.
It's a Terminator kind of ripoff. It's like if all the teachers. I saw the trailer, and I want to buy this movie because it looks.
I think I saw that
cheesy.
a long time ago, but they did like a bunch of movies around that time. Nukem High was one. I'm trying to think of I would almost say Toxic Avenger would be on the lines of.
Okay.
Yeah, like on these lines. I'm not going to say. No, I won't say street trash. I'm trying to think of the movies that had that type of like low budget, over the top stuff. Like I said, Toxic Avenger, Nukem High, Class of. I think I saw that one I don't remember much of it because it was a long time ago. But what other ones?
This one again, I've never seen. Sinjanor.
I've never seen it. Never even heard of it.
It's a monster. It's a big monster movie.
Do we think it's maybe Japanese?
No. It's
American.
It's American or possibly Canadian. But
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's. You should watch these trailers.
I'm gonna have to check these out. Yeah.
But they basically all involve some sort of practical effect creature, and kind of they're all in the 90s or early 90s or late 80s.
Yeah.
There's definitely a theme going. Guyver 2 Dark Hero.
Okay.
Which
you said you saw this.
Yeah, I remember watching those growing up. Yeah, and I liked it. It's a cool look. The Guyver costume is fucking awesome.
Is it? I'm gonna check that out.
It's very comic book-y, like especially Japanese.
And I'm okay with that. I love that type of stuff. Yeah.
And the live action doesn't look too bad. Like his costume, it's that soft. Like
the foamy stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it though. Like you can tell because they're doing all these movements and flying through the air, but it doesn't.
Speaking of costumes, what annoyed me with Psycho Goreman, the Pandora character, I noticed her. Whatever was coming off of her head, it kept moving.
Yeah,
and I'm like, it's not going to move like that if it's. Like we're
soft.
We're supposed to
Yeah,
we're supposed to assume
armor.
it's armor metal and it's moving like it's Nerf or something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I like the creature designs, but a lot of it was definitely cheap, so you could see things moving.
And again, it's always to me, I'm okay with stuff as long as you execute it properly. Like if you're going to go on the cheap route, I'm okay with it, but really put all the effort into that. Whether it cost $1 million or $10, if you're gonna put it in your film, make sure the execution is there. I'm okay with cheesy and campy and I'm okay with on the cheaper side. But if you're gonna do it, really sell me on it. And that's not what I was getting with this.
Sure.
And I think that was part of my problem. What else is on the list?
I think the last one is, I don't know if you were seeing it. I think I saw this in the theater. Virus from 1999 with Jamie Lee Curtis.
I remember that movie. Did I ever watch? I remember it. I don't think I ever watched it. I do remember when it came out, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of practical effects in that movie. It's about it's like I guess I don't remember if it's something that actually comes out of the sky and lands, and I think it's on a ship, but basically it's just like this alien that's keeps incorporating technology and taking people over.
Oh.
And it's
Interesting.
really cool practical effects.
Really? I'm a sucker for good practical effects. I
But
don't think I ever saw it, though, yeah.
It's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie?
No,
It's not that good.
But it's one of those. I like a lot of those because I just like anytime somebody put that work and effort into something.
Absolutely,
like
sure.
I'm down. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
watch it.
yeah. And I don't, and the thing is, I don't want to like, I mean, I know making a movie, it takes so much time and so much energy and a lot of ideas and a lot of sleepless nights to do movies. So I don't ever want to crap on them. I will say there are things I just don't like. And, some stuff work for me, some stuff doesn't work for me, and that's okay because we all have our own opinions. But I know that there's a lot involved when it comes to making a movie, and I don't want to ever dismiss someone's art, because that's what that is. It's art, and I don't, and so I know.
There's a line though. It's like I have no problem dissing something that costs $200 million because it's not. It's less art. There's like a line where there's art and commerce, and the people working. Yes, there's still craftsmen working on those films. But they don't. A lot of those. And taking from somebody who's worked on shitty films that aren't mine. Yeah. Like I know I'm working on a shitty film. I know it sucks. I'm just there because either I want a credit or I want to get paid. Or a little bit of both. Or I want to make connections. And that's the thing with a lot of craftsmen in the industry. It's like people are worried about like, well, I don't want to trash a movie because there's so many people working on it. No. Like, they will probably trash it, too. They'll probably go to parties and be like, this movie, like, this is a fucking director. So I have... No.
And I get that. I mean, I know. I'm sure you could talk to actors and directors and whoever else. So there are certain movies that they hold dear to their heart, and there are other ones, this was just a paycheck. Or I read the script and I thought it was going to be, the execution I thought was going to be there and it just wasn't.
Yeah.
I have more respect for someone. Look, I mean, there are phenomenal directors out there that can make a great movie with a $200 million budget. There's also someone that can make a phenomenal movie for $200,000. Right. I mean, they're out there.
Yeah.
And so I respect that more. If I like the movie, I like the movie no matter what. But I do respect someone that has far less. And then just has for instance, I don't know. Dead Alive would come to mind. Peter Jackson did Dead Alive before he had all that money to do all these
just
other.
pretty much all himself.
He
played multiple characters in it.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's over the top. It's kind of like this, but I still, it has a charm about it.
Sure, I will forgive more things for smaller films because they have less. Obviously, if they had more money, they'd make it. They'd put more into it, and they maybe have better locations and maybe have more time
better actors.
to take more takes. I call this acting one take acting because it's and it's probably up to the director too. It's everything is in one take. Sure, all right, we get it. Let's go because maybe they only have a budget to be there for one day or so long. Whereas if you had more money, you have the time to take 200 takes like Kubrick would do, or things like that on film, not even on digital, which is crazy.
Oh my God.
But no, I will forgive these movies. I will give them way more slack than something that's $200 million,
for sure,
because of that fact. When a movie is not good and it costs over $100 million, there is no excuse for that. It's like you had all the resources, and this is it's under par. It's like, fuck off.
I had one of those. I'm not going to mention the title, but it was in the Marvel universe, and it was.
You're not going to mention the title? Why not? You're gonna.
I know. I guess I just don't like pissing people off.
Who? Marvel? They have plenty.
Yeah, that's true. So when I went and saw the newest Doctor Strange, and I love.
Again, I will say a case of having things to drink because so.
So you drank when
I drank as I knew it. Yeah, and Sam Raimi,
I love Sam Raimi.
Right.
I do. I love Sam Raimi.
I love him in the studio, in that big studio system. Was going to be conflicting.
Yep.
So I had a lot. Well, I'm not going to say I had a lot to drink, but I had some things to drink, and I really enjoyed the Sam Raimi-ness stuff in that movie. Whereas the other stuff I couldn't care less about, but I had more fun drinking.
I see it. Maybe I need to rewatch it because I saw it at the theater, and I went into it wanting to just love it because I love the Doctor Strange character, and I dig Sam Raimi. I wasn't sure how it was going to mesh. I know he did Spider-Man, but I love the Evil Dead or Drag Me to Hell Sam Raimi. I like the lower, not a big budget, and
Spider-Man 1 and 2 though are amazing. Films.
Great films.
They're some of the best.
Great, yeah, but it felt more like a Spider-Man movie than a Sam Raimi movie. This newest Doctor Strange felt like a Sam Raimi movie more than a Marvel movie. I wanted a Marvel movie, and I got a Sam Raimi movie.
I got a disjointedness of both. I got a push and a pull of the Marvel cookie cutter way they film things, that they turn things out, production, we do this, and we make a movie. And then I got a Sam Raimi with, these are the things I do in my movies. These are the shots that I use. Yeah. These are the themes I kind of have. And it felt disjointed to me. So we didn't get either. We didn't get a decent Marvel film that's not going to blow you away, and we didn't get a Sam Raimi film.
Disjointed is a good word. I think that's an excellent word.
I did love that movie way more. I didn't say I don't love that movie.
Yeah,
but I was drinking and I enjoyed that movie for what it was, ridiculous and kind of dumb at times. But I will say Thor 4, no amount of alcohol or edibles can save that film.
Oh no,
from just being boring,
really,
like slog through familiar territory they covered in the last movie with this just joke after joke that falls flat.
Really,
I don't want to turn this into a big thing.
I haven't seen it. Seeing it tonight. And I love the Thor character too. It's fun, and so I was hoping before you said that. I'm going to go into it though. I
didn't even realize you.
It's okay. I always go into every movie open minded because see what I like you may not like, and vice versa.
Definitely.
So it's okay, and I'm going to go into it open minded like I do with everything. And if I hate it, I hate it. Like I know saying that I didn't like Doctor Strange is probably going to rub people wrong, and that's okay. I was bored by it. It felt like a super long movie.
Yeah,
there was some stuff like the stuff with the music notes when they were fighting was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and that was Danny Elfman.
Look, Danny Elfman is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the music. I'm talking about them with the music notes, and they were the fighting each other.
Fantasia.
Dude, that was stupid for me. Danny Elfman all day long is phenomenal, man. That goes back to the Oingo Boingo days. It was just the whole, it was goofy, like the music notes and the fighting each other, and then it felt too much like an Evil Dead. I love Evil Dead. I love all those things, but I didn't want to see that in a Marvel movie. It just didn't fit for me, man. And it doesn't mean I hated the movie. It was okay. I really wanted to like it because I think out of all of the characters in the Marvel Universe, Doctor Strange is my favorite. He just resonates with me more than anything. It doesn't mean I don't like the other ones. It's just him, for some reason, I just like his character. And I was like, oh, it's going to be awesome. And then it was just like, okay. Yeah, it was whatever.
Yeah.
And so like, it's like if you have a $200 million budget versus whatever, the 200,000, and then you put that out, it's like, oh, come on, man, you missed the mark.
Right. Yeah, and it's more, it angers me more that you can make a movie with that many resources and have that many problems. But it also goes back to, if you have that many resources, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Yep. There's executives that they have to worry about. So every D-bag executive that doesn't know shit about movies, because these days they come from their graduates, their business graduates, that they and they go into these, but it's just a big business.
Well, that's what sports has become. It's become analytics.
Yeah.
Instead of going with your gut.
Yeah.
Or what you used to do when you were playing baseball, like most of these baseball, let's just call it baseball, because it's analytics in baseball has just consumed baseball. And it's almost taken a lot of the fun out of the sport. But that's what it is. All your executives they're not whoever who played the game or who managed the game. They graduate from, I don't know, Yale or Harvard, whatever friggin' college, and they specialized in analytics and this and that. And I'm not saying it doesn't work, because they've found a niche and it does work, but it's taken it's taken the numbers. Fun. Yeah. They're taking the fun out of the game. Like right. I find watching baseball, and it wasn't that baseball's always been one of my first loves when it came to sports, and I know a lot of people find it boring, but now it's like I could sit down and watch a game, and now anymore it's hard for me to sit down and watch it because I find these players are looking at a wristband that tells them where to go.
Really?
Oh, I'm not kidding you, man. And it's like you've taken just the natural beauty of baseball, and now you put it on a piece of paper, and then it says, okay, well, this batter, I got to move 20 feet to the left because he likes to hit it here. And dude, it's weird, like the shifts and stuff in baseball. Man. Like they will literally have a batter will come up and he's prone to hit it to, let's say right field. So they'll take the third baseman and the shortstop and they'll move them over to the second base. So now you got like 3 or 4 guys on that side instead of your normal position. And it's just weird, man. And it just, yeah. And it's the whole, and I guarantee you that's what they do in movies.
Oh yeah. It's like, the algorithm tells this people like this, or at this point in this 8-episode streaming show that the people are going to tune in at this point, it's all algorithms and based on what people look at, what they're flipping through on these streaming.
And I'm sure sometimes they're right, but a lot of times they're wrong, man.
It's all wrong if none of it feels like it's natural and it's coming from a place where, again, a $95,000 movie, it's a group of people who have an idea, who want to make something, and they made it. Yeah. No matter how much resources or how little resources they had, they made it. They did their thing. Yeah. Versus a huge group that says, we're going to do this because these people tell us that it's the time to do this, or it'll be profitable at this point in time to do this. This is our trajectory. This is our business strategy. The investors like these ideas. Our stock will probably go up if we release a movie at this time. So we have these slots open during these years from the next 5 years.
It's weird, man. Yeah.
It's gross. And movie making has always been a business to turn a profit. But there's a difference between making a profit, whether it's a little profit or a big profit, than maximizing profit. Squeezing out every little bit, changing things in a movie to squeeze out every little bit of profit.
Oh man, I mean, I could talk about, like, there's a lot of franchises, I've watched a few documentaries, on like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, where, when it first started, it was about the art and it was making this small budget film. Then it became just this enormous cash cow, and they would throw them out within 6 to 9 months, and each movie would lose quality. And I'm watching these documentaries, and these executives are talking about why they did what they did, and it pisses me off because you all you cared about, and I understand it's a business, I do, but then you basically shit all over the art because let me get this thing out in 2 months, and we're going to release it 9 months after the other movie came out because we want to maximize our dollar, and it bothers me, and I get it. I don't know, if I was an executive or I was in their position, maybe I would do the same thing. I don't know, because I don't.
Well, they have a pressure to appease their stockholders versus an like diehard fans, or the actual director or someone, a writer who actually wants to do something decent. People who want to actually make a good piece of work. Yeah. Well, they're beholden to these other groups of people that. These people invested in our company, so we need to make as much money for them as possible. But it's like it's always been a business, but it was never this big a business where your art obviously suffers. Greatly.
That's why I'll still go see a big budget movie. I will, but I also will gravitate.
Like Top Gun.
I still haven't seen that. By the way,
that was a great film, man.
I hear it's great.
Jesus,
the Maverick one, the newest one.
Yeah, and I hear that's great. Yeah. It's just a big. I know Tom Cruise is perfect in every one of his movies that he does, and everything he does has to be perfect. Yeah. But he's still one of the only big producers that wants to do things on that level, on that scale practically. And like, that's amazing. Of course I will see that. And I enjoyed it. I really did.
I have heard it's good. I will gravitate towards like with music, right? You know, you got the big, like we talked about this in the previous episode for Videodrome. You know, you got your groups and you got your artists that are huge and popular, but then I like to gravitate a little bit towards more of the indie music. You know, I feel like there's still this rawness about their music, and the same with film. Like I will watch a lower budget, you know, and I know Psycho Goreman, you know, falls in that category, but I'm maybe a different subgenre of that, where you're doing like, you know, like Hereditary wasn't a big budget, you know, The Dark and the Wicked, which I had you borrow, which I think you really liked,
yeah,
you know,
I like that one.
You know, movies like that, where I don't, it's not a ton of money going into it, but I still feel like it looks like it's not a huge budget, but it doesn't look super low budget either.
Right.
It's kind of somewhere in the middle, but I feel like the people involved haven't yet been tainted.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
They haven't been corrupted,
yeah.
and swallowed up into this big machine.
Exactly.
That's what Marvel does. That's what I was afraid when, because they used to get an indie director. I forgot the guy that directed Black Panther.
Okay, I don't remember yet.
Oh man, that's gonna bug me. I always get on these fits where I just can't remember.
Look it up on the computer or on your phone. But you know, I mean, so yeah, I mean,
it's past.
Is it past?
I don't want to be.
You don't want to.
No, but I mean, he was an indie director, and he directed that Fruitvale Station, which was really good, about the murder of the guy in Oakland by the transit cops.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a really good film. Then he directed Creed. Which was a really great film, and he's not like, he kind of came from a lower budget, you know, type thing, but then, you know, Marvel took him and swallowed him up. And
you know who I will say, and I know we're kind of getting off topic, but I will say James Gunn, who did Slither, and he's
been able to keep his street cred.
You know, a Suicide Squad. He did, he's done obviously Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
He somehow is maintained and hasn't gotten, like you said, swallowed up by the machine, you know.
Yeah.
He did that television show. Oh God, I forget, for HBO Max. The one with John Cena. Peacemaker. Peacemaker, okay. Which I love, dude. I thought it was phenomenal, man. Like it felt still raw and kind of gritty, but it still had a big budgety feel.
Yeah.
The Suicide Squad that he did a year or two ago, which I thought was just great, you know. And he has a way of maintaining that and not losing himself in that, and you know. But anyways, man, I don't know how we got onto that.
It's just a difference between these kind of smaller budget, different size films, and again, like. If it's halfway decent, I would rather watch a really low budget, halfway decent film and enjoy it over something that costs $250 million, that costs another $100 million that their marketing costs.
Oh God, for sure, yeah.
And that just does nothing for me anymore. And I think the older I get, I'd seek these types of things out. You know, people can't see me. I'm like holding.
I know you're all holding it up like someone could see you. He's got the copy of the Blu-ray for Psycho Goreman.
This is the kind of stuff that's probably why I blind bought it, because I'm like, come on, like you know.
I mean, I could have. I don't blind buying stuff anymore, only because it's burned me. But I could see myself 10 or 15 years ago blind buying that, seeing that, you know, in a. Well, I mean, now anymore, no one carries any movies anymore. It seems like you go to Best Buy and they got like 5 movies there. That's it. I don't none anymore. Right. And everyone's, you know, I mean, I guess there's still a few of the. You know, the few of the little mom and pop places that I think maybe sell the used movies, but it's just like anymore. It's like you got to buy everything online, and it's like I don't know, man. I've said this a million times. I just like going into a place and walking down aisles and picking up stuff and having it in my hand, and I like that experience. It wasn't that I maybe left the store with something that I bought. It was just the whole experience of it. It's like, well, why do you go to the movie theater? Because we can watch everything in our house now, and all the TVs these days are huge. Well, it's because of the experience. It's going to the theater and being in the seats and that surround sound and being around other people and seeing their reactions. And That's what it's about. It's going to a concert, man. It's not the same as listening to a CD.
Right.
You go into a show and really getting that feel.
I want a memory.
Yeah, man. And that's what's great. And a lot of that is just not there anymore. And that's what's a bummer about everything. It's like, they've taken away, like the media. Like, it's like anymore. It's pretty soon, I'm afraid we're not going to be able to buy a Blu-ray, or an album somewhere because they just said, well, it's just going to be digital. Well, it's not the same.
Yeah, well, they're trying to push
physical
it out.
Physical media.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
When a company like Apple decides to never again put a disc player or whatever in their laptops, well, that's them pushing towards because they want to push out the physical media.
I hope it doesn't ever happen. I'm definitely love physical media. I don't buy as much as I used to anymore, but I still do buy.
I'm like the last person I know out of my group of friends that really still buys CDs and occasionally vinyl and Blu-rays. Like, none of them are. Even 4Ks. I mean, I'm big on the 4Ks. Yeah. I double dip and triple dip, and I keep.
That's my buddy Morris, man. Morris will do that too. I mean, he definitely still buys, and I buy when it's warranted. Like when something really blows me away, I'm like, oh, I want this.
Yeah, I read reviews on them too, and I try to get the stuff that was shot on film. That is the stuff that deserves to be seen in 4K, I guess. And when you watch it in that on a good TV in your house, you're watching it better than it ever was, even in the theater.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's... I still go to the theaters. I like that. That's a memory. That's an experience. But at least at my home, I can have the best quality, and it's future-proofed. Because now forever, I have this really decent quality. If my internet goes out, I'm okay.
Exactly.
As long as I have
that's what people seem to forget. It's like it's all about whether you're
licensed content that may not be on Netflix or whatever, and it gets moved around.
Exactly.
And at some point, you're going to be like, it's not on anything. And there's stuff that's not even available to rent. So try finding The Abyss or True Lies on any service, I believe, trying to rent it. It's just gone. It's gone.
Is that right?
Because James Cameron, I think he's gonna, maybe eventually he's working on a Blu-ray for those.
I see.
But he's been so preoccupied with sequels of Avatar that nobody wanted that he's pushed those amazing films off of remastering them and putting them out. And now you can't buy them unless you buy them a used DVD off of eBay
is that
or something.
right?
Yeah, that's the only way to see those movies.
I find it weird that in this day and age, it's hard that we can't find that. There's a movie from the 80s. It's one of my favorite comedies called Better Off Dead with John Cusack.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. That one has like when he starts not hallucinating, but he has a little
when he's working at the
burger place.
It's one of my if not my favorite comedy from the 80s, and I can't seem I just want a digital. I have a physical copy of it, but I would just like I have the physical, but sometimes when I'm just, I don't know, if I just want it playing in the background, and I want to buy a digital copy because I already have the other copy. I just want to I can't, no one sells a digital copy anywhere in this day and age, which is a popular 80s comedy. And so it's like, it's weird for me anymore, man. And so it's just like, but
that's what I like about physical. I don't want to keep going on a tangent about this stuff, but it's there, it's available.
Dude,
if
I love
they were
having
making it. It's there. If the content stuff, if it's just digital, they can decide whether or not to take it away or take it out of the, the.
I hope they don't get rid of
removes things.
I hope they don't get rid of physical media. I hope they don't. I mean, it just feels like they're really pushing that, but I hope not.
They've already done it with games mostly.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah,
that's
just like
most people are. There's really no reason to, since on a day one patch you have to download an additional 50 gigabytes. That's not on a disc that you get.
Yeah.
They don't play off the discs anymore either.
No,
so
they don't.
Basically, you have to download what's on the disc and then something else, an update to it. So it's like, what's the point of even getting a disc?
I mean, I'm glad that albums are still a thing. I mean, that's good to see. But I mean, for a while there, I mean, you didn't really see a lot of vinyl. Like, I mean, it was just the old stuff, but now it's like, a lot of the artists, groups or whatever are still pushing out vinyl, which is good because there's a lot of the younger generation are into vinyl and they appreciate that. But I guess we should get back to Psycho Goreman a little bit.
It does tie in with the 90s.
It does. It ties in.
They don't specify what time period that this movie is in. There's no cell phones in the movie.
No cell phones. Yeah, the vehicle is some older, not really older truck, but dated truck. I'm trying to. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know. Clothes wise, we can't really tell.
Yeah, you can't really tell. I think it's made to look like it was kind of. It could take place in the early 90s. It could have taken place
in the 90s, right? I mean, which I love the fact that they're playing. They made up a game and they're playing it instead of on. Well, they were playing video games. Luke and his friend. What was that kid's name?
They're playing N64.
Is that what they were playing?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're playing a game. But
I guess it would be mid-90s.
Yeah, so
console.
maybe this is supposed to be a mid-90s.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love the fact that, that they're outside and they're doing something.
Right. Yeah, they're not on a phone.
Yeah. I mean, they're outside playing and stuff and but I mean, so I'm trying to think here. So Pandora I don't know if she somehow talks to the mom, Susan, and then Luke, and they kind of go to her side because of the repercussions of him destroying basically, the entire universe because he's going to basically kill everyone.
Well, the girl, Mimi, has pissed off her brother, Luke.
She's an asshole to him.
She's an asshole. She's threatened to kill him multiple times.
She's
threatened to have the nameless evil or the Archduke of Evil or whatever kill him.
Well, doesn't there one scene where
she tells him to kill him and he goes
and he levitates him or something like that? And then,
just kidding.
Yeah, and then she's just an asshole. She's awful.
And then the mom is pissed off the dad by just being a normal human being.
Yeah, he's shitty. He's lazy. He's shitty. He's oh my god. He's useless. And so yeah, and so, but then like Greg, the dad, and Mimi, don't they leave with Psycho Goreman and they go? Where do they go?
They go back. See, that's the thing I don't like about this movie. That the settings, they go back to the warehouse, which is not an interesting
whatever it is.
Setting.
The shoe.
Yeah.
Used to be a shoe place or something. I don't know. They made shoes there. They manufacture shoes there. Yeah, they go back to the same freaking place. So of course they're gonna And
then they have the whole Duke at the end, which
the whole crazy ball thing.
The crazy ball thing, which is I don't know. That's not one of the worst things in the movie, but it is something. It's like okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Which I wish they would have gone to a different planet for the ending.
Well, again, budget, right? It comes down to money and how do you do that?
I mean, they're using a setting. I mean, they would just use a...
I guess you could have, right? I mean, they did it with that council. What was that council
Or then
called?
when they did the whole backstory with on Gygax, that was on a different planet. They could have been... They could have went back to a post-apocalyptic Gygax.
And more than likely, that was just CGI'd anyways on some green screen.
They
so
did
I guess
do some miniatures in this movie.
Which I love miniatures.
Yeah, I watched the special features.
I'm all for miniatures.
And
they
cool. did a little bit of miniatures. A couple of shots, but there was a lot of goofy CGI.
I mean there was some dorky stuff, but I mean
I think the one thing I besides what we already talked about that I really didn't like about the film, and I know it was a shoestring budget, but I looked up at the details. So the cinematography really bugged me because it just looks really kind of half-assed. I don't mean to disparage it. I'm sure they shot everything in very few takes. Very, very, just didn't look good to me. And but they shot on Ari Alexi minis, which Ari is every single huge budget film that's shooting on a digital camera shoots on an Ari Alexi.
Oh, okay.
Like Dune, all these films are shooting on, and that's probably one of the most expensive digital cameras, and it also has the look of film that almost no other digital camera comes close to, but it gets close to that. It basically has that look of film.
Yeah.
And it's really expensive, and they use it on all the big budget films.
Yeah.
And this was the same company, so it's a decent camera, decent digital camera, but whatever reason it's drab. The cinematography just doesn't...
Did you think, though, that was intentional, too? Because I almost feel like...
Does it seem like it gives a retro look?
I think so, because if we're to think that it is...
look... So, Turbo Kid had that idea.
It did.
And they went to the effect of where they made, VHS lines in the thing, and that's intentional, but this just felt... Maybe that was an intent, but it comes off to me as just kind of they just didn't really think that much about it when they were shooting.
Possibly, man. I have doing enough of these episodes. I do enough research and I see enough movies where I almost feel like when they're doing stuff, it's always intentional. Like I just feel like there's always a reason behind it. We just sometimes don't know what it is. And if this was to feel.
Well, everything's intentional, even if it's a bad script, right? Because they wrote it, and they shot to that.
Like, okay, so for instance, like we're talking about, like you're talking about the cinematography or whatever, the look of it. If this was supposed to be 90s, well, then it's supposed to maybe look 90s. The overacting to me, like to me, I've seen plenty enough movies with overacting.
Right,
I've seen a ton.
It just felt like bad acting,
but bad and over the top, like.
Yeah.
If there's a such thing as over the top, that's what it was. Right. And that's what, like, I'm okay with over the top, but it was just to the extreme and I just couldn't get past it.
Sure.
But I'm sure there was a reason for that. I bet some of these actors are good actors or decent actors. Yeah. And he went to them and said, hey, I need you to do this and then go way beyond that. And that's what you're seeing in this. So maybe that was the same with the cinematography. I don't know.
I just feel like it was just a quick process and they're doing.
Could have been though, man. And maybe I don't know.
Cinematography is a thing that you notice, like bad special effects or bad CGI. You don't really notice it when it's good or decent enough because it's supposed to be transparent. Yeah. But if it's not good, you notice it like right off the bat. Like,
I didn't notice it. Like it didn't bother me. I guess I was so focused on Mimi's character and how annoying she was to me. I was so focused on that. I was so focused on some of the Power Ranger type stuff. That didn't bother me. Like, sure, I didn't have an issue with it. Like I had issues, but that wasn't one of them. And again, I'd like to, I don't ever want to just sit and just bash a movie because there was some stuff in here that was good. Like, I mean, there are,
like I said, I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah. I was bored by it. But maybe if I watched it again and had a couple drinks, maybe I would be going, "Damn, this is good shit,"
Try it, watch this one, and then watch Doctor Strange.
But I will say this, man, and I this definitely has some charm to it that I know a lot of people like or will like. Just because I didn't like it doesn't mean the next five people, because there are people are like that type of stuff.
Yeah,
and
there is a lot of jokes and a lot of them are funny.
Yeah, they are funny.
There's a one point where they leave him, so he's under the control of the kids when they first kind of meet him, and they leave him in that warehouse.
Yeah, just to sit there like in a timeout or something.
Yeah, but she brings him some like a hunk magazine.
Yes,
and she's like, "Is that for hunky boys?" And he's like, "I do not like hunky boys." And then there's like a brief, or do I?
Yeah,
and it's so straight.
It is
like
so
played
straight,
that it's just, and it's so, but it's so quick that it's so funny. There's stuff like that which is really good, and all the stuff with him where he goes off on a tangent about wanting to destroy them or destroy the universe, and they're just like, fuck, whatever. Like,
and then or the one part where they were leaving and they brought their friend. What was his name? Alistair.
Yeah,
Alistair, and he's leaving, and he says something like bye or something like that, and it was good meeting you or something. He goes, yeah, it'd be good if you were dead or whatever it was in the line, and the kid is like, yeah, okay, whatever, and then he just leaves like it's nothing, and it's pretty funny. And I think what sells it is the voice is phenomenal, dude. Like, I mean, that was one of the best parts of the movie for me was the voice. It was believable. It was because I've seen enough movies where they try to do a cool voice like that, a creepy whatever it is, and it fails.
Yeah, right.
And it just falls flat, and that's not what happened here.
No, he's great.
It was great, and the music's phenomenal. You got the metal, you got the 80s synth stuff. I mean, you got there are some good things happening in the movie. But as a whole, it just was, it was kind of boring and just for me.
Did you like the Alliance of Planets? I know you said they look like
just rejects from Star Wars.
I like that though. I thought that was so funny. Maybe not so much Pandora, the leader kind of.
There was a couple that were decent.
But I liked the one who was just like an eyes and kind of a mouth, like a kind of a skull or whatever. Yeah. But he was inside of like a.
I did like he was like in a jar or something. Yeah, I did like that. That reminded me of something. Now, for the life of me, I can't remember what, but. but that was kind of cool. Like, no, they weren't like horrible. Like they were,
Yeah, it's
they were
just hit and
cheesy.
miss.
Yeah,
Some of them.
hit and miss.
Like,
That's
I
perfect.
like the bucket, and I don't know his name. I had my notes, and I wrote down all the names of all those like goofy characters
Yeah.
and people in a costume, and I forgot it, but I really dug that just bucket of bodies.
It was kind of cool looking. I mean, yeah, like I said,
That's funny.
Hit and miss is a perfect analogy. It's like it was like it was kind of like it was like that. It was like some stuff worked for me, some stuff didn't. But as a whole, the movie just didn't work for me. But again, man, I can see a lot of people really liking this and having fun with it, and I try to have fun with it. I just couldn't have fun with it, and it was a little bummer for me. But that's okay. I mean, they all can't be home runs and stuff, and it's all right, So
you should definitely look up some of the other films. I haven't seen. I mean, the only one I've seen is Void, which is a completely different tone.
I have heard it's good. Yeah,
it's not a comedy.
No,
It's,
I've heard that. I heard it's but everyone I've talked to who's seen that has really liked that movie, and it's on my list to watch. I just haven't had a chance to watch it.
Again, it's a very small budget. Film.
Again, yeah, I'm okay with that. As long as I'm into a big budget or small budget. If it's good, it's good. At least in my eyes, I just have to enjoy it, and So, I guess shit, man. Anything else that I don't know if there's anything we forgot about. Anything?
Thanks. The only other I was going to mention, the other gag I liked in the movie was when their friend Alistair's turned into a brain with eyes.
Yeah.
And it's like the story at one point just kind of follows him home.
Yes.
And he goes home to his parents,
Yeah,
and he just sits down for dinner.
Yeah.
And there's just no thought at all.
No,
They're just
it was
"How
like
you
it was
doing?"
normal to them, and I was like, well, what the hell?
Like that's funny. Just stuff like that was really funny. Some stuff, it wasn't. I just wish there. I don't know.
I just don't think the balance was there for that.
Yeah.
I think it was, again, it boils down to execution. Sometimes, like I said, it's like following, if you decide you're going to go down one lane, stay on that lane, and I'm okay with that. But then if you keep flip-flopping and you're changing the lane on me, and it's like, what are you trying to be? And we've talked about other movies in the past that do that. And I think this did it a little. It didn't do it as much as other movies, but it did it a little. And I think that was my issue, But anyways, yeah, man, that's Psycho Goreman.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody should if you like
check it out.
check it out. Yeah, it's
check it out.
definitely
Yeah,
worth checking out because you may really, really, really like it.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I would say give it a shot and let us know what you think. But
And
man,
what's that company? It's that they do all those films.
the group,
Astron 6.
Astron 6.
It's
Okay,
like a collective.
that's actually
of,
kind of a
people.
cool name, Astron. I'm gonna have to look that up. I never even heard of that before.
There's a bunch of films.
Really?
And that guy has directed several.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm gonna check that out.
They did the Leprechaun reboot thing, or the Leprechaun Returns, which I didn't see that.
I haven't seen it.
If it doesn't have Warwick Davis,
I know,
Leprechaun,
right?
I
It's like,
don't
why
watch
even
it.
deal with it? Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, thanks again for coming out.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Have to have you out again. But everyone who stuck around and listened to us ramble,
Yeah, thank you.
appreciate it. And everyone, take care. You listened all the way to the end. We appreciate that. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Ear for Fear Podcast, Twitter at Ear for Fear, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Ear for Fear Podcast. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There we list news and events. We're available on all the main platforms, so make sure you tell a friend. We hope you come back and get an earful.